A horse in 1907 could solve math problems by reading tiny body language cues his trainer didn't even know he was giving. Turns out humans do the exact same thing, and the person controlling your performance might be someone who has no idea they're doing it. This is called the Pygmalion Effect. When someone expects you to perform well, you perform better. When they expect you to fail, you fail. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy driven entirely by expectation. Here's how powerful this is. In 1968, researchers walked into a California elementary school and randomly told teachers that certain students were intellectual bloomers, kids who would show dramatic improvement that year. This was completely false. The students were chosen at random, no different from their classmates. 8 months later, those randomly labeled students showed significantly higher IQ gains than everyone else. Nothing about the students changed. Their actual abilities were identical. What changed? The teacher's expectations. And those invisible expectations, transmitted through 1,000 tiny behaviors the teachers weren't even aware of, completely reshaped student performance. That's the Pygmalion Effect. And it's been controlling your life since the day you were born. The story actually starts decades earlier, Berlin, early 1900s. A horse named Clever Hans is stunning audiences across Germany. His trainer, Wilhelm von Osten, asks him mathematical questions. What is 3 plus 2? Hans taps his hoof 5 times. What's the square root of 16? 4 taps, correct. Scientists investigate. They find no fraud. The horse appears genuinely intelligent. But in 1907, psychologist Oskar Pfungst discovers the truth. Hans wasn't doing math. He was reading microscopic changes in his trainer's body language. A slight shift in posture, a change in breathing when the hoof reached the correct number. Von Osten didn't know he was giving these cues. He expected Hans to get the answer right, and his body unconsciously signaled when to stop. The horse wasn't brilliant at arithmetic. He was brilliant at reading expectations. 60 years later, Harvard psychologist Robert Rosenthal remembered Clever Hans while designing an experiment. If a horse could detect unconscious expectancy cues, what about humans? In 1965, Rosenthal and elementary school principal Lenore Jacobson tested this at a California public school. They gave students an IQ test, then lied to teachers, telling them certain random students were bloomers. The results stunned the education world. In 1968, they published their findings in Pygmalion in the classroom, named after the Greek myth where a sculptor's love brings his statue to life. Expectations don't just influence performance, they create it. So how does this actually work? Because the Pygmalion Effect isn't magic. It operates through 4 invisible channels that Rosenthal identified. Channel 1, climate. When you expect someone to succeed, you unconsciously create a warmer emotional environment. You smile more, you're more patient. Your body language says, I believe in you. This makes people feel safe to take risks, which is how learning happens. Channel 2, input. High expectations equals more challenging material. You don't dumb things down. You assume they can handle complexity. Low expectations equals oversimplified tasks that never stretch ability. Channel 3, output. When you expect someone to succeed, you give them more opportunities to speak, contribute, demonstrate competence. Low expectations equals fewer chances to perform, which means fewer chances to develop. Channel 4, feedback. When someone you believe in makes a mistake, you give detailed, constructive feedback. Here's what went wrong. Here's how to fix it. When someone you don't believe in makes the same mistake, vague or dismissive. That's wrong. Try again. Here's what's terrifying. Rosenthal found that teachers had no idea they were doing this. They genuinely believed they treated all students equally, but the students knew. They could feel it. One study showed students could accurately identify which classmates teachers had high expectations for, just by watching teacher behavior. The expectations were invisible to the teachers but completely obvious to everyone else. You're doing this right now. To your employees, your kids, your friends, and you have no idea. So how do you use the Pygmalion Effect without manipulating people? First, audit your unconscious expectations. Who do you unconsciously believe is capable? Who have you written off? Those beliefs are leaking out in ways you don't see. Guaranteed. If you manage, teach, coach, or parent, your expectations are shaping people right now. Second, raise your baseline expectations. Instead of sorting people into high potential and average, assume everyone has untapped capability. Treat people as if they're capable of more than they've shown. Watch what happens. Third, give the Pygmalion gifts consciously. Even if you can't control unconscious signals, you can control deliberate behavior. Give challenging work. Offer detailed feedback. Create opportunities, show confidence. These aren't manipulations, they're investments. Fourth, watch for the golem effect. That's the evil twin, low expectations, creating low performance. If you catch yourself thinking, this person will probably fail, stop. Ask, am I creating the conditions for that failure? Fifth, use it on yourself. There's a version called the Galatea effect, when your own expectations shape your performance. If you believe you're capable, you behave differently. You persist longer. You take harder challenges. You interpret failure as temporary, not proof of inadequacy. Expectations aren't just about other people, they're about you. Sixth, be honest about limits. High expectations without support, resources, and real opportunity? That's just pressure. Belief matters, but it's not enough on its own. We think expectations are invisible thoughts locked inside our heads, but they're not. They leak out in 1,000 microscopic ways, and the people around you feel them, internalize them, and become them. You're not just observing performance, you're creating it. If this changed how you think about expectations, hit that like button. And if you want to understand other invisible patterns shaping behavior, we've covered Parkinson's law, Murphy's law, the Dunning-Kruger effect, and Cunningham's law. Links are in the description. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, because once you start seeing these patterns, you can't unsee them. See you there.